Okay, so last week we talked about, sounds weird. We talked about pride. This week we're going to talk about vanity a little bit. So I'm going to start us off with a question. If you guys won the lottery, won like $300 million, I'm sure it's something you never thought of. What would you do with the money? No, I'm asking, what would you do with the money? Any? You give some away? Sure, like $10.
Oh, no, I give I'm a bigger deal than that. Gary, are you looking for a religious answer?
No. I know what the religious answer is. Like, I know 10% is like that. I'd probably give like 12 or 13 before I even put that check in my account. You're like,
The religious answer is, I don't think about money.
yeah,
And I would enjoy some of it.
of course. We've all thought about it, right? You know, you see like, oh, it's the highest ever. You're like, why should some other person get it? I deserve that, you know? Yeah? Yep. We'll use that as an excuse, right? Like, I'm just fulfilling his dream.
There's the religious answer.
Yep. Right. I would have never bought the ticket, but since Pastor's been preaching about it, I just... If you don't win, you don't say anything, right? You're just like, oh, another day. But most people will say things like, they always say they'll give some money away. Sure, that's true. You know, would you give it to strangers? Probably not. You'd give it to whoever you felt needed it or just people you loved. You would buy a bigger house, a car. Nikita's not here, but he will be shortly, I'm sure. We always joke that if we won the lottery, especially when we were living back at the house, there would be like 15 sports cars, like not in a garage, all rusting under a pine tree, you know. And those things, you know, it's fun to think about, but in all reality, those are vain thoughts, right? There's a funny saying that I like. They call the lottery the a tax on the stupid. Yeah, I think we all have. And every time it shows you you're stupid. But we all like that dream. We all like the dream of one day just waking up and having so much money we could do whatever we want, you know? In America, that's basically the ultimate power is to have money. If you have enough money, you can literally do whatever you want. And because you're an American citizen, you could pretty much do whatever you want anywhere in the world if you have money.
Gary, I'll give an observation here. For the most part, most of us wouldn't know what to do with it. And I have seen in my lifetime several people that I know come into a sum of money and ended up buying a truck and a convertible and vacations and this and that and the other thing. And 18 months later, not only are they out of work, they're out of money.
Right.
And so if by some chance one of us ends up with that money, they need to seriously pray about how to deal with it. Because foolishness sits right at the door. And like everything else, TV commercials tell you what you want, how bad you want it, and how bad you need it, and how little it costs. Right? And they all sound so great. But that's the deal. People come into sums of money and just lose their mind.
Yep. There's one thing that Nikita always said, and it was because he caught me one time, like, if I'm cleaning and there's like a penny or something, that thing's going in the vacuum. right? He's like, and he said something, I believe it was something his dad taught him, or said to him, which was, you'll treat a penny like you treat a dollar. And it really is true. That penny has no value, or very little value of my time picking it up, where if you move up the income bracket enough where a dollar doesn't have a value, you don't care. It's it's a windy day, a dollar starts blowing, you're like, see ya. Like, you're not going to go run into traffic for it, but there are people that would. So it brought me to a thought about disposable income.
I love that term.
It's the craziest term in the world. It literally means money to throw away, right? We all have disposable income. All of us.
We do. You're right.
All of us. Very few places in the world have disposable income, or even have income. If we were to win the lottery, that greatly increases our disposable income, and it becomes a race to see how fast we could spend it. I've read a lot of stories about people that, win the lottery and how they spend their money. And like Brother Bud says, a lot of times, it's usually within like the first 6 years, they're bankrupted. And it's because they make all sorts of excuses. Like, I never learned how to handle that much money. Like, there's a lot of things. But the truth is, we never learned how to handle any money. It's no different. I remember being in high school, they didn't make us, but we had a class that we could take that actually taught us about money and investing and things like that. And they said, when you have a job, it means you're just over broke. That means you're 1 or 2 paychecks away from living out on the street. And if you win the lottery, you're going to still live that way. You just got a big paycheck. You're going to live like you get another one all the time. Right? And the famous thing is like MC Hammer built this like crazy house. It was his dream house with all these like waterfalls and things like that. Gone. He's doing cash for gold commercials, That's sad. But that's how we are. So how does this tie into the scripture? Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. Okay. Is Junior here? Oh, talk about vanity. You guys ever do anything in vain?
With Junior?
It has a point. Hold on. You guys ever do anything in vain? No? You guys never moved over to the right lane right as it ended? No? You never started Sunday school late setting up the video because Junior wasn't here just to have Junior show up?
Junior Day. All right.
If you wouldn't mind, sir. I wish Nikita was here. He loves this. There is sound.
Do not open. Now here's the deal. Listen carefully. Inside one of these boxes is a key. Do not open it yet. If your box has the key, you will be the last person today to get one of those cute little G6s. Okay? Who will it be? Are you ready? Hold on. Are you ready? JR is back in our audio booth.
There he is.
JR is crossword drum roll. Cue the drum roll. All right, open your boxes. Open your boxes. 1, 2, 3. The reason why I was screaming the words is because other people were screaming so loudly. I thought they didn't understand or wouldn't understand what had just happened and what I was saying.
All right, that's probably enough. Fortunately, you guys don't get a car today. Sorry. Unless you brought one, then you can take that home. But there was a part in the video where it's like people start breaking down in tears, you know? And it's a Pontiac G6. It's a nice car, but it's, you know, I wouldn't start crying. You know, it's okay, you know, thanks. But this is the first time that ever happened. So there were certain things like taxes that they completely forgot about. So when someone gives you something, you have to pay tax on the full retail value, which no one pays retail for a car, but they did. That came out to be $7,000 in taxes. So what she should have been screaming is, you get a $7,000 tax debt. You get a $7,000 tax debt. Now, sure, they got the option to sell the car and do that, and they made out with a little bit of money. But sometimes things that we think are gifts are really burdens. There's actually an old philosophy that started around the 1920s when we were doing the Industrial Revolution, where they didn't want skilled workers. They thought that they called it social Darwinism. I don't know if you guys remember that or studied that at all. But basically said that it wouldn't be smart to give everyone a car or a house or things like that, because it would upset the balance of society, that people wouldn't know what to do with it. And it was kind of true. Like, as messed up as that is, it's kind of true. If all of a sudden you give everyone, you know, brand new cars, which is one of the options they were talking about when they were bailing GM out. No one likes that car. Like, no one's going to take care of that car. It wasn't earned. There's no respect for it. It actually doesn't help society, it makes it worse. And like I said, there's other things about that were really wrong, but that particular point actually was correct. If you just give a homeless guy a car, still homeless, he's got a car, how's he going to pay $7,000 in taxes? It doesn't make any sense. In this society, as we already know, and we are the benefit of it, but we don't realize it, the rich are given the advantage. You can go into any restaurant at Memorial Drive, spend $1, maybe $2, get a cup, and you can sit there all day and drink as much as you want. Anything you want, soda, iced tea, water, whatever you want. Homeless guy goes in there, they're calling the cops. That's strange. Even if he pays the $2 and he's there for a couple hours, they're throwing him out. You dress up, you wear a suit, they're not going to throw you out. We have an all-you-can-eat buffet. You can literally go there and eat until you fall asleep. And I've never been there, but I know we sent ministries and stuff there. But if you look at Africa, there's no such thing. It doesn't matter how much money you spend. You're not getting an all-you-can-eat buffet. Yeah. You're not getting unlimited refills, you know? You could give them $100. Your cup is not getting filled up again, you know? It's just the way that it is. And it's really, really messed up. The wealth that we enjoy, we didn't really do anything for. We were just born here. I mean, we could say that we were predestined by God and all that, and we are blessed. But we didn't do anything for it. Right. I didn't build the restaurant. You know, I might have paid some taxes that helped, you know, pave the road or something, but I didn't do anything to do that. All right. So we have the saying, teach a man to fish. We've heard this saying before, right? And it's kind of true. But I often wonder if it's a little bit more selfish than that. And I'll use an example. If someone keeps getting a virus on their computer, I'm going to teach them how not to get a virus on the computer. Not necessarily for their benefit, because they keep getting viruses and they obviously don't care. But I don't have time to go down there and fix it all the time. I'll be like, this USB key has what you need. Just plug it in, run this. Teach a man to fish. If I have to feed some man every day, I'm like, nah. Here's a fishing pole. Here's this. Leave me alone. More vain thoughts. The vanity of wisdom This one is good too. Wisdom without practice is nothing. Just like the way that I kind of view the education system set up, it's a lot of it like you just do it to have knowledge. Like it doesn't serve any purpose at all. We often fool ourselves into thinking that we know something or that we have some kind of dominion over some topic or something like that just because we've read about it. Or even studied it. If you study how to take apart a G6, look up all the service bulletins, all the recalls, you know all about it, but you don't own one or never touched one, that's vanity of wisdom. You ever do that? Ever look something up that you'll never touch? Maybe when you were thinking about what you do when you won the lottery. How much does the maintenance cost on a Ferrari? Oh, that's not bad. Got 300 million, so I could probably get some brakes, put them aside. It'd be good. Yeah, it's fine. Vain has another meaning that's similar. Well, vain and futile are similar, right? Except for the vain just has a separate meaning off the side that means self-centered, conceited, excessively proud, or exceedingly proud. This is one of those things where, again, it never just hits you. You never just wake up and be like, wow, I am vain, you know? Unless you wake up and there's just pictures of you everywhere, you know? You might go, okay, you know, maybe we only need 30. We can get rid of these two, you know? When I worked at Best Buy, they had a thing where to sell digital cameras, what they would do is take a picture of the customer and print it out. Because people are so vain that they would buy the camera because it had a picture of them in it. And it actually worked, like it was dumb. But that's how dumb we're like, wow, I could see myself in this. Literally. All right. So vanity doesn't just, Facebook, we won't talk about that. Talk about, that's like the most thing of vain, you know, that there is. But vain doesn't just sneak up, right? You don't just all of a sudden realize you're vain, or you don't just all of a sudden become vain. The worst is sometimes you don't even realize that what you're thinking about is vain. Sometimes I have trouble going to sleep because my mind will just be like, okay, today we're going to remember every room that was in Grandma's house. Let's start with the kitchen. And you're like, no, let's not. That's a vain thought. That's easy enough. Like, we could never go in there. I can't just walk in there and be like, hey, when I was a kid, I used to walk around, like, let me see. Oh, this has changed. This has changed. What that thought it doesn't make any sense, right? But we have vain thoughts all the time. All the time. Thinking about winning the lottery. Thinking about our next vacation. And it's not bad to think about certain things, right? But in my life, I've noticed that there's been a lot of vain thoughts. And what I've discovered is when you're dwelling on other things, you can't think about the things of the kingdom. The sad thing is when you don't care, right? You're like, oh, I'll just have Sunday. Sunday's going to be my I'll think about God day. Oh, okay. Vain thoughts. You ever judge someone and then find out what you judged them on wasn't true?
Amen.
When I was young, or into my teenagers years, I took martial arts. I took martial arts for 8 years. And the sensei or teacher, whatever you want to call him, had this little saying that as you're practicing how to defend yourself, how to attack, everything that you do, you put into the Kempo kettle. Whatever you put in there, come time to defend yourself or whatever, is what you get to pull out. If you're not doing the form properly, not learning how to block, you get into a fight, you block at the elbow, you're getting a fist to the face. Because that's how you practice, right? That's the saying, they tweak the saying, perfect practice makes perfect. Not just practice makes perfect, because however you practice, that's how you're going to do it. Okay. Same thing happens with thoughts. Whatever you think, whatever knowledge you get, you can store that up and recall it. But if it's useless knowledge, what are you pulling up? I don't think there will ever be a test that I can think of where I'll get a raise if I can write down in detail my grandma's house. Not that I know of. If there is, sign me up. Now this one's easy for me to say because I can't remember people's names, but sports stats. That's vanity. Really, it is.
Yeah.
Computer specs, vanity. Car specs, vanity.
I'm safe on all three counts. He's working down his list.
No. I'm not here to pick something that everyone has. I'm just saying, things that I can explain that are easy, like a computer spec.
Schultz, I know nothing.
Computer specs, car specs. The moment you buy a computer, something new is already coming out. It's completely useless, right? When someone's computer's broken, I don't go, this is a nice 2.4 gigahertz dual core. Did you know that this has 3 megabytes of L2 cache? Oh, okay. That's a good one then, huh? That doesn't mean anything. It's even worse, not just a pet peeve when people leave the stickers on there. You're like, okay, that's cool that you bought it. It was giving you a little example. This computer's 15 years old now. You're not impressing anyone designed with XP. Right, and it's like that way with cars, right? Some people will say old classic cars are the way to go. It's, they haven't made anything good. Their suspension was garbage. So much to the fact that a new Kia could outcorner it, right? But we like to know those stats. We like to know the 0 to 60 times of cars we don't own. In case we race them on Memorial Drive, I'm not sure. I don't think you can explain that to the cop. Be like, I was arguing with my friend via text, and I was like, I'm pretty sure my car was a little quicker via, no, you're not going to press the cop with your knowledge. Sports, I don't even bother. I play fantasy football because I can know more than 20 people. Baseball, forget about it. There's thousands of people and their stuff change. I don't even know what ERA is. I know what it stands for, but if you're hey, how do you calculate it? I don't know. I don't know what this stuff is. Luckily, that doesn't fill my head. I get other garbage.
Yeah.
I made more room by not remembering that to remember other garbage. Mostly movie lines. Yeah, that's more vain thought, right? Me and Nikita could probably talk to each other for hours in movie quotes and actually have a meaningful conversation. So what is vain thoughts? What does all this vain stuff mean? Sure, it's bad, but is it really that bad? Yeah. Am I hurting anyone thinking about whatever, car specs, computer specs? Not really. No. Is it the best use of my time? Debatable. It's entertainment, So let's take a physical object that acts like a vain thought. Fruit stripe gum. Do you guys know what fruit stripe gum is? I remember being a kid, seeing that commercial with the skateboarding or motorcycle riding a zebra. I'm like, that stuff's going to be delicious. And it is. For about 5 seconds. And then it starts to harden, your jaw hurts, right? And the pack is huge. It's not like 5 sticks. You get 30 or something, but that 30 is gone in an hour. That's a lot about vain thoughts. Sometimes when you dwell on vain thoughts so much that they actually come to pass, It's a huge hindrance. And I use this because I grew up in Holyoke, but there's so many buildings there that people spent time in engineering that serve the purpose that right now, nobody wants them. Like if they were to burn down, they wouldn't even show up to put it out. And I'm not joking, there's one that's burnt down that's been like in rubble for, I don't know, 5 years. They don't care. They just put like a little fence, don't trespass. If you do, enjoy. So that got me thinking, like, sometimes vain things could actually just be something that you've done that actually could be a hindrance to other people. If you take resources that someone else could use, you actually are doing them harm. There's a show called Pimp My Ride. You guys ever heard of it? No? Yes? Maybe? Some people are like, yeah, other people are like, that doesn't sound good. So Pimp My Ride is slang for like hook up my car, like with rims and make it this all flashy and like crazy stuff. So what they would do is they'd pick these people at random and take their car and hook them up, make them look ghetto fabulous, I guess. They'd put flip down screens in them, they'd put body kits on them, paint them crazy things, put lights on them, put a water fountain in it, put a photo booth, like all these crazy things. Which is cool, it's entertaining, because you're just like, this car is useless, but it's kind of cool, some of them, Well, I saw online one person that actually went through that process with their car, and they were like, behind the scene stories. And one thing that they were talking about is that all the work was cosmetic. They never fixed up the car. They never, you had an oil leak or something like that. They never opened the engine, never fixed it up. You had bad brakes, cut brake lines. Oh well.
Looks good.
It looks good. There's very few things that are more vain than a car that's not practical. Everybody, for the most part, needs a car. It's really hard. It's one of those things when you grow up, you start to learn that you need a car to get to work, but in order to get to work, you need a car. So, you do what you can. You mow lawns, you save your allowance, you buy a crappy car, you go to work, and then all your money goes to fix the crappy car so you can't buy a better one. And you slowly work your way up until you just get a loan, and then you can't pay the loan, and you get another job, and it's just bad. But that's how it worked. Yeah. Don't buy a car. But if you spend all your money making your car look good, but it can't actually drive, you have a statue, if you have a lawn. I had a Jeep one time that when I was driving to work, the engine literally exploded. So I drove it to a parking lot and left it there. It was a statue. I wasn't going to paint it, wasn't going to buy rims. I used it like a locker. It was on the other side of the city, so I'm like, okay. I don't have time to go from work to home on a lunch break, so I'll just leave my lunch in the glove box, come back. One day it was just gone.
With your lunch.
Well, I left it there for a while, so after a couple of months, I'm like, I should probably take everything out of this that I want to keep. And I still left it there, because I didn't have any money to do anything. Like, I couldn't fix it, I didn't have the money to tow it. And it was there, like, they were plowing snow. Like, it didn't break when it snowed, but they were plowing snow around it. So eventually it's just gone. So I call the cops, and I'm like, hey, you guys probably towed my car. It's been there for like 6 months. They're like, oh, that was you? Yeah. No, we didn't touch it. Oh, okay. Like, try calling the owner that owns the little plaza. I'm like, okay. So I call the plaza. They're like, oh, yeah, we were wondering why that was there. No, we didn't touch it. I'm like, I did my due diligence. Click. As long as I don't owe anyone any money. Years later, I get an excise bill for the car that I don't have. 5 years of excise tax in a car that would have cost a lot less just to tow it to the junkyard. Lesson learned, yes. If you don't want a car, report it stolen. You can still leave it there. Okay. So let's try to tie this up. Vanity shall diminish. That kind of makes sense, right? You win the lottery, eventually your lottery winnings are going to diminish. You didn't do anything to get it, you don't know how to manage it, it's going to go away. You have vain thoughts, you try to cash in on that. You watch a YouTube video on how to box, you go to box, that knowledge is going to be diminished real quick, right? It makes sense. But thee that gathered by labor shall increase. That makes sense too. You work hard for something. Exactly. It has value to you. Even if it has value to nobody else, it has value to you. You save up dollar by dollar and buy a car, it may be the crappiest car in the world. But someone keys it or scratches it, you're going to flip out. You'll be like, what happened? Like, dude, there's like 900 scratches. Why do you care about this one? But this one wasn't there when I bought it. We mix these sometimes. We think that if someone gives us something and we fix it up, we sometimes think like we get all the value of it, right? We deserve it somehow. And this is the thing that I see in my life. So if someone gives me something either to be a blessing or just the way it works out, and I do a little bit of work to it, sometimes you're a jerk and when you go to sell it, you want to sell it for more than both the work you put in, the money, and what it's worth. Or you don't want to give it to someone because they didn't earn it. I put together a nice computer, build it up. Somebody needs a computer. This is way too much computer for them. You're just going to use it. This is no good. You're just going to go online. You don't need a quad core with 16 gigs of RAM. Like, no. This will just be the most powerful virus machine there is. Somebody needs a car. I can't handle the V8. Like, no, they're just going to crash it. Like my sister. My sister crashes every car. Like, every car. You give her a car, 6 months, she'll smash it somehow. My sister needs a car. She's not getting any one of mine. Even if I have extra ones, no. I don't want to see that car in a tree. Even if that car was given to me. Just have a couple minutes here, so we'll just wrap it up like this. When you think that you're in charge of your possessions or things that you've given, and you deem who's worthy to get them or to enjoy them, that's vain. People that are not good enough to be welcomed into your home, vain. I'm going to cook dinner. Oh, it's those people? They don't need the steak. Hot dogs. Yep. Maybe we'll get some pizza, but like just cheese. Never had that thought. Oh, we're going on a beach trip. Let's take the piece of crap car. I don't want those kids in my car. There's a thought here that says, things that are acquired that has God's blessing on it, we're not to expect to continue His blessing. If God blesses you with something and you don't use it wisely, He's not obligated in any way to continue to bless it. But that's what we do. If we get something that we know that we've been blessed, like there's been things that we know that we were blessed. We'll put it on a display case. We'll make like a little parade for it. Be like, hey, everyone, check, I got this. I got this. Check this out. I got this. And again, you'll decide how that's used. maybe God will be like, hey, you should give that to someone. Let me set up some trials for them. If after this they get this much, in their trials that that they won't pass, oh, I tried, God, I was gonna, but they fell short here. Okay. God can make wealth to be insufficient for needs. Or you can make it more than sufficient. We've seen both of that happen. An example, Steve Jobs ran the most profitable company there is. Billions and billions in cash. Failed liver. Got nothing. He's known as a brilliant guy, but a jerk. Okay. We've seen people live on less than $20,000 a year, live comfortably. They don't have to sell drugs. They're fine. There's sometimes doing like a tax return, you look back, you're like, whoa, that's all I made? How did I go outside? Okay, so that's the second bell, so let's just wrap it up like this. Okay, so wealth, whatever that is, whether that's knowledge, physical items, money, things like that, gained by vanity shall be diminished. Or things that were given as a blessing that still are used in vanity will be diminished. Just the way they go. You fill up a cup of water, you keep drinking it, eventually the cup's empty. But things that are gathered by labor shall increase. You keep filling the cup up after you drink it, you're always going to have water. Pretty simple. That's scripture.